All right, so it looks like we're live. How's everybody doing? Just going to do a quick refresher to make sure it is functioning for you guys. But this is Paint with Lovejoy. Thank you so much for joining me today. And in today's painting, this is a viewer request. We are going to be painting a burrito. Um, I'm actually liking all the food choices. I'm learning more about food and realizing I'm not that great of a cook or baker, especially compared to yesterday with the cupcake that we did. So again, if you more jumping on, thanks for coming and joining us. This is Paint with Lovejoy. And what you see on the screen right now, I already have the outline of a burrito on there. Yeah. um, so what you can do to get the outline on your canvas, you've got two options today. You can either pause the video and look at what you see on the screen and draw what you see on your canvas, and that's the one I actually recommend the most. If you don't want to do that, I create what I call a traceable, and I will upload that to my website after this live feed, and there's going to be links down in the description box below. And a traceable, you download it, print it out, and with carbon paper, you're going to transfer it to your canvas. And for my first time painters, this takes away a lot of the stress and frustration of getting your initial composition on your canvas before you start painting. So check out both of those options, and whichever one works better for you, go with that. And then pick up the video to start painting after you've gotten your initial image on there. So for, excuse me, so for today's painting, we're gonna go a little bit backwards compared to the method that I have taught my other paintings with. And we're gonna start with the inside of the burrito, so that way we can layer colors on there, let it dry while we paint the burrito in the background, and then we'll come and put some of our toppings, our cheese, and tomatoes on top of our interior of the burrito. So jumping right in, I'm going to use the middle flat brush, and we're going to put green in here. This will be kind of like where the lettuce is. Here we're going to use some raw sienna and white and kind of make either your refried bean mixture or maybe your meat mixture. And if you want to switch out any of this to be more fitting to what you want in your burrito, please feel free to switch this up. So again, I'm using that middle flat brush and mixing yellow and green. And I kind of like it with a little bit more yellow, so kind of a lighter, vibrant-y lettuce that we'll put in there. But make your mixture to your liking. And we're going to fill in this little center area. All right. And cool. How you guys doing? Thanks for jumping on. We got Tammy and Janet and Raya and Adrian. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for hanging out and checking out the videos. Hopefully you're enjoying them and painting along to this video or other ones and passing this isolation and social distancing time, at least in a creative manner. All right, so just filling that in. If you are using student grade paint, apply your paint a little bit thicker. It'll be a little more opaque, and if you need to, you can do 2 coats on there. If you're using other materials, crayons, markers, colored pencils, you may need to do a few layers, but adjust based on the tools that you are using. All right, so I'm going to put a little bit of shadow in there. So I'm going to grab some of the direct green, kind of just slap it in different areas, maybe move the brush as you're doing that. We're thinking that the lettuce is kind of all folded up, and these are some of the shadows in there. Then I'm going to take some of the yellow, kind of do the same thing, a few little weird random areas, wipe the brush off, and then with light pressure, we're going to blend a little bit of the green in with the middle shade of green, and same with the yellow into that middle shade of green. So light pressure, and I am almost kind of just like stabbing the canvas. That seems to be very stress relieving, and it helps kind of mix your paint while still keeping some of the color pretty solid. And like I said, this is kind of light pressure. The more that you paint, the more comfortable this will get. So be kind to yourself if this is your very first painting ever. Oh yeah, it does look like guac. Nice. And it could be your guac on here. So art is very interpretive. So when you're done with your painting, you can call it lettuce or guacamole. We'll put some tomatoes in there, but that could be fitting for guacamole as well. All right, so I'm going to clean my brush, And I'm going to do a mixture of white and this raw sienna or a light tan. And we're going to kind of do the same thing. And you will notice that I'm going to go over those black lines. We still should be able to see the black lines through it, but we'll do the same type of shading that we did for our lettuce and guacamole mixture. So again, starting with the white, adding a little bit of that raw sienna, and it actually makes a pretty nice refried bean mixture. And if you wanted a little warmer, you can add a touch of red to it, but be very cautious on that red because the red's pretty powerful. So again, just kind of going right over them. Oh, and this white's actually thick enough. I can't quite see all the lines underneath. That's okay. Sometimes things in art, you just got to go in the new direction while you're creating it. All right. And I am the black line that had the border between the meat and the vegetables. I am painting right on top of that. And as we go through the painting, I will be getting rid of all these black lines. For your painting at home, if you want to kind of keep it a bit of like a pop art feel, after you're done painting everything, you can go back with black paint and redo the outlines. And that gives it kind of that really nice kind of bold pop art feel. All right, so just like we did with our guacamole mixture up top, I'm going in for that straight raw sienna, or that straight brown, and doing kind of the same thing. And this is already, I applied the first layer on kind of thick, so I can kind of do some of that stabbing blending method right now. If you feel like finger painting, feel free to go for it. Just, you can get that same effect and it creates a little bit of texture. I'm going to throw a few more places of the darker brown towards the bottom because we would have more shadow down here. All right, and again, we did this part first, so that way it gives it a little bit more time to dry when we come back and put our tomatoes on the top, and we'll put a little like cheese on the bottom and the refried beans. And since we will be putting a lighter color on there, it's easier if that is dry. All right, so now we're going to move into the background, and I am going to make the background blue, then we'll come in and move into our burrito color, and then the toppings. So clean your brush out really good, and if you are working on a larger canvas, please feel free to move up to a larger brush. I'm on an 8x10 canvas mainly for filming and for the quickness of doing a 30-minute video for you guys, but you can do these paintings any size that you want. And I recommend that you utilize what you have at home. All right, so we're making a light blue. I'm going to go from the edge of the burrito to the edges of the canvas, and then we're going to come in and do a little darker blue, a little shadow underneath our burrito. So as you are applying your paint, try a few different brush strokes. You've got kind of the full width like that, or you can turn it sideways. It creates a little bit of a skinnier line, and in some particular videos, I like using that brush stroke a lot for the background. And then by far my favorite brush stroke, and most of my students' favorite brush stroke, literally slap your brush on the canvas. It is technically called cross-hatching. There is a term for it. But right now, given everything, we're just calling it therapeutic, stress relieving. Throw all your anxiety, throw all your overwhelmed feelings into it. And you don't necessarily solve all your problems, but you kind of forget about them for a little bit. And that is the beauty of painting. Just put everything into the paint, and it's so therapeutic to just move this across the canvas. And I think it's extra therapeutic that we have this white surface, and within a certain amount of time, you have transformed it into something else. So I tell all my students in my Paint Your Pet class that you guys are magicians, because you're creating this illusion of a 3D object on a flat 2D surface. And that is very satisfying to see that change and that progression. All right. And again, as I'm realizing that I'm holding my breath, if you're painting along, take a big inhale, just let it out. It is not to your benefit to hold your breath while you are painting. And if you find that you're kind of shaky as your brush touches the canvas, if you exhale as you touch the brush to the canvas, you're going to be a little less shaky. And anytime that you paint with acrylic paint, should you overlap an area that didn't need the color on it, or maybe you painted something and later realized that, oh, it needs to be a different color, I don't like it, I need to change it. With acrylic paint, all you do is let it dry. It usually takes about 15 minutes, and then you paint right on top of it again. So for my beginner painters, acrylic paint is a very versatile medium because it gives you a lot of forgiveness, and you can trust your instincts, go down that little rabbit hole sometimes, try new things, find out what you like and don't like, and then you can come back and paint again. All right. And I have moved my studio into my house. I have closed the Lovejoy Creations studio in Liberty Station, given current circumstances. And my cats are thoroughly enjoying these daily videos today and yesterday. They are just fascinated to sit on the edge of the bed and watch this white canvas transform into a painting. I'll have to get a video of them doing that so you guys can see them. And now they're off. All right. Ooh, cake boards. That sounds interesting. Nice. Cool. Well, way to use some unexpected materials in a new way. Good job. Feel free to send me pictures of what you paint, Janet. I'd love to see what those look like. All right. As you're painting your background, if you need to mix your color 2 or 3 times like you're seeing me do not stress about getting the exact same shade each time. Variety in your background only adds to the coolness of your painting. So don't feel like you have to be perfect. And if you are painting on a stretched canvas, carry the color around the sides, the tops, and the bottom. It looks really nice when you hang it on the wall, having that color wrap around the edge. All right, so it looks like I've got most of this covered now. And we're gonna kind of do the same thing. I like to build on the same skills. So just like we did the shading and kind of the stabbing method for blending here, we're gonna do the same thing in the background. I will put a little bit of white on the top, and then we're going to come in with more of that straight blue and give a kind of a nice dark shadow right underneath our burrito. So I'm going to start with the white. So I'm grabbing a huge chunk of white, literally just slap it on that canvas, slap it right on top of the blue paint. And this is called a wet on wet blending method. And it's called that because our background is wet and we are introducing new wet paint into it. And then you move your brush on top of it with light pressure, and the more you move your brush, the more the new color mixes with the color on the background. And should you maybe move your brush a lot and you lose some of this lighter color, just reapply and move your brush a few less times. All right, so now I'm actually just going to grab that straight blue. Gonna just kind of do the little stabbing method right underneath my burrito. And it's gonna look kind of bold to begin with. Don't freak out, we're gonna blend it out. And if this is too much with that small flat brush, feel free to move down to a small pointy one. Or use your fingers when we do some of the blending. Let's get a little bit back here around the corner. All right, so I'm gonna wipe the brush off. And that's a pretty sharp line right now. It's almost too sharp for my liking. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna blend this dark blue into that lighter blue background, but I still wanna kind of keep a pretty strong dark shadow right underneath the burrito. So again, wipe that brush off and possibly even start where the lighter paint is. Start with that stabbing and then just work your way up to that perimeter of the darker paint. And you'll kind of do a little back and forth. You'll go into the darker paint and then kind of pull it into the lighter background color, go back up to the darker paint. And again, put any of these frustrations from current life circumstances right now into the stabbing. It just is very satisfying to do. And I'm actually going to take a little bit of that blue. I want it in a few other areas, so I'm going to slap it down here. I do like the bottoms of my canvas to be a little bit darker, just because it visually gives your eye some weight So that way we keep our eye on the canvas as you're looking at the painting. So as you get more and more into art, you're going to possibly hear that concept a little bit more. So as you look at a painting, try to take notice of when you look at a painting, where do you start? Where does your eye travel around? And does your eye leave the canvas ready to look at something else? And the goal of art is to make sure that you're intriguing the viewer so much that they don't even want to step away from your painting. They have to just keep looking at it. And that's what we call, in the painting world, user engagement, really. I know it's a lot of a big of a technical term these days, but again, you want to keep your viewer happy, you want to keep them engaged, you want to keep them intrigued enough to continue to look at your painting. So start noticing how you observe stuff, and then you'll see how that translates as you're creating your artwork. And with artwork in general, it is never about being perfect or photorealistic or beating somebody or doing better than somebody else. It's about just changing the way that you look at the world. And the more that you paint and the more that you observe yourself in the process of painting and observing everything, just the more you learn. So, right, just basically remember, painting is not a competition. Everybody's got their own journey, their own path. All right, so background looks pretty good. I'm gonna clean the brush. I'm gonna move over into the burrito, and we're gonna go back to the white and that light brown. And for your burrito wrap, if you want to make it a spinach wrap and make it kind of a light green, if you want to do a tomato basil wrap, if you want more of a whole wheat, so you want it a little bit darker, adjust the shade of your burrito to your liking. I'm going to keep mine pretty light, just because I even like the white, almost the white contrast next to the blue background. So mine's going to be just a super light, way lighter than the refried bean mixture I made. And we're going to fill this in here. I'm going to apply it pretty thick. I have a few things to cover. I did reuse this canvas, so painting over a drawing that was underneath it. And if you are painting at home a lot and you realize that you are running out of canvas, you can re-gesso or reuse a canvas. And search my YouTube channel. I do have a video on there for how to reuse, how to gesso a canvas. And I'll try to remember to put that link in the description box below. All right, so filling in that whole burrito, making sure that we overlap some of those black outlines. And if you are doing this painting as fast as I am, you do want to be cautious as you are coming next to and even on top of your blue paint or your background color paint. If you are painting quick and you happen to get some of another color, your background color and your burrito color, just wipe it off with a paper towel and reapply your paint. Not the end of the world. All right, and how many of you are hungry now after watching a burrito at 11 o'clock in the morning? All right, so I have the top portion of my burrito. This underneath portion, because it would be under a little bit of a shadow, I'm gonna go just a touch darker than what I painted for the top portion of the burrito. And that's gonna save with a little bit of the blending later on. There we go, and it may be subtle. I'm not sure if you're able to see that difference at home, so I'm gonna make it just a touch darker. But literally, you just wanna go 2 to 3 shades darker than your first color that you were using. And again, be very careful as you're coming up next to that blue on the bottom of your burrito. Mine is still very much wet, and that blue will contaminate the color rather quickly. So again, if you get some paint mixed in there, just wipe it off with a paper towel and keep on painting. Smile at yourself a little bit, laugh. This is just painting. It does not need to be taken super seriously. There's so many other serious things in life right now. And again, remember to breathe. Laugh at me a little bit, it's okay. Aside from watching the video right now, hopefully it is nice that you're not staring into an electronic device with the news on it. So I'm glad you guys are taking a little break from your day. All right. Oh, I haven't done a pizza yet. I will have to add that to the list. Next week is filling up as far as what I'll be painting. So I might start putting those into the week after. And once I'm a little more settled, I'm going to be looking into getting a calendar set up so that way you guys can see what I'll be painting on the demos maybe a week or two out. All right, so I still need to put a little bit more of a shadow underneath here. So I'm going with a bit more of the raw sienna. And I'm going to go right underneath, and that's actually a little too much, but just like we did with the bottom shadow in the background, we'll do the same thing and kind of blend it into there. All right, and I actually got quite a bit of paint on my brush, so I'm going to wipe it off, get all that paint, and it kind of brings the bristles back together. So if you're ever painting and you realize that your marks just get bigger and bigger, wipe your brush off and bring it back to its original position. So now we're going to do that little stabbing method just to kind of soften that line. And then we'll do this with some white. We're going to put some highlights on the top of the burrito. And I just got a little bit of blue into mine. That's okay. Bob Ross coined them as happy accidents, and I fully believe in that. So don't stress out too much. Put a little bit more of a shadow on the bottom of this burrito. And if you're painting at home along with me, don't feel like you have to do exactly what I'm doing or that it should be an exact replica of what I'm painting. Just use what I'm doing as a base guideline. Make your painting your own. So now I'm grabbing some of that white, same thing. We're gonna put it on the top of the burrito, gonna slap it on there. And then I am gonna put just a little bit where that flap meets, because it's gonna help give a bit more of that depth, that magical illusion of a 3D object. So now wiping the brush off again, doing that tapping method. Same for up here. And I'm not really tapping and moving, it's just kind of more of a tapping and kind of squishing it into the underneath layer of paint. All right. Okay, so I think we are now ready to start putting our toppings on here. So I'm actually going to move down to the pointy brush, just gives me a little bit more control. And we're going to put little chunks of tomatoes in our lettuce guacamole mixture. And then we can do these long, like little strings of cheese over our refried bean mixture. So for the lettuce, I'm actually just going to go straight up red, and they do kind of come in weird little chunks, so you can just kind of even blob it on there. And if you don't like tomatoes in yours, you can add a different topping with the appropriate color. Again, make your burrito your favorite burrito. And in California, I believe we're definitely home to the California burritos that are gigantic. But they're also very, very filling. All right, so I'm cleaning that brush off, going back to the yellow paint, and these are just gonna be like little squiggle lines for our cheese that's on here. Can't have a burrito without some cheese. And if you're vegan, hopefully you have some vegan cheese you can throw on there. If you want some sour cream in there, you could just use the straight white. Same thing, put a little blob of sour cream in it. If you want French fries, feel free to add that. But like I said, just have fun with it. All right, I think we are almost done. I am gonna add just a few little specks on the burrito, because that's what they usually have on there. So I'm grabbing, still with the pointy brush, that direct raw sienna, and almost like little dash marks on here. And I'm assuming that would be like the different grains for when the tortilla or burrito is being originally made. And if you're doing a spinach burrito and your shades of green, you would do this with the straight green. Your tomato basil burrito, you'd be doing this with just the straight red. right, not bad, not bad. If you wanted to, you can add a black outline. And again, that just gives it a bit more of a pop art feel, but not bad for a burrito. So how many of you are gonna have a burrito for lunch or dinner today after seeing this? So yeah, I think that takes care of it for today. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. Let me know in the comments below what you'd like me to add on the calendar to paint next week. And your help is so appreciated. So please send me pictures of what you paint. Email those to me, paintwithlovejoy@gmail.com. Those are some of my favorite emails to receive. Watch this video, watch my other videos, share it with your friends. It is through you that this channel has grown to what it is and what it's going to grow to be in the future. So thanks again. I hope everybody has a great day, and I will see you tomorrow. Yeah, I will throw a pizza painting on there for next week. So thanks, guys. All right, everybody be safe and healthy, and take care of your community and yourself as much as you can. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Cheers.